Everyone knows.
Okay, we are live.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. It's
Talking
been-
about how much we love Central.
Yeah, we keep the tree.
Back when you could. Yeah, no, I've heard people do that still.
7 o'clock.
All right,
I've
everybody,
heard really good experience.
7 o'clock.
You know.
Now call this board meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Cook, will you please take roll?
Mr. Wellman is absent, everybody else is present.
Thank you. Is there any new business to bring before the board? Hearing none, I would seek a motion for approval of the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Welch and a second by Mr. Geist. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, opposed, same sign. My bad. Okay, next item on the agenda is item 5, consent agenda items A through E. Is there any item any board member would like removed and discussed separately?
I will mention, Chair Raymaker, that the seniority lists, we go through a protocol providing the list to the unionized groups. They review them. There's a certain number of days in which they have to review them and make appeals for changes if there are any. So that entire process has been completed. So we bring those to you for your approval.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I would seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ravenhorst and a second by Ms. Kiefer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda would be item 6, high student achievement, and that was the principal and director updates. If there's anything anybody would have questions on, I ask you to reach out. I didn't even get caught up on all of them because I know it was attached a little bit later today, so just catch up if you can and reach out.
I do want to acknowledge all the work that the principals are doing and the directors in moving the initiatives forward that we have in our school district. If you can take the time to review the information and just acknowledge the work that's being done by our principals and our staff. It's good quality work and we're moving our initiatives forward in a positive way.
Thank you. Next item would be item 7, aim 2. We don't have anything tonight, so we'll go down to item 8, aim 3, effective and efficient operations. And item 8 would be consider and approve the BCI Solar for Schools grant with Mr. Schroeder and Mr. Brock Johnson. Floor is yours.
They'll be going through a presentation with you and you can certainly ask questions as they go through this information.
All right, so I'll start this off before I hand it over to Brock here to take it from here. So as most of you know, we did this a couple years ago at BCI, an initial Solar for Schools program. Submitted that information, got awarded the opportunity to do this. At that point in time, the grant covered about 85% of the cost. And then we were able to also then apply for the Inflation Reduction Act tax credit of 30% on top of that. So our total project cost was $148,157. The actual solar panel cost is about $113,000, but we had another $36,000 in roof seam repair type stuff, I guess they'll call it. So basically we reinforced the seams before we decided to put these on, just as a precautionary to make sure that the plan is that we don't have to at any point in time take these off before they're ready to be taken off.
Try to prolong your maintenance schedule a little bit.
Basically, so that was part of that plan. So that's why the number is 148. But the Solar for Schools grant then covered about 96,000. We took the remaining out of capital. And then we got the Inflation Reduction Act tax credit back at 47,000. That just recently happened now that we received those dollars back. So the district cost, after all it was said and done, was $4,858. So far we have earned, and this was probably a month or so ago, the energy savings were $7,000. So actually we're already on the plus side of this whole project at this point in time. So that's just kind of a recap of phase one. It was also a much smaller. We had a limit on, what was it, 40 kilowatt, basically was the max that we could put on there. This go around is going to be different than that, and I'll let Rock kind of touch on that part of it as well, so.
Can you remind me again when they were installed?
August of 23?
I was gonna say, it's been 2 years. I think.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
so I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Jeff. So, Mr. Johnson, you just tell me when you want me to advance.
Sure. So yeah, basically now the Solar for Schools grant program has evolved since this project was put up there. So now you can go with bigger projects over 40 kW. Basically you can go up to, it's a max grant amount per district of $500,000. So Dan and I looked at Bonner a little bit, looked at ground space and, with the condition of the roofs at other buildings. We petitioned the state to see if we can, just add more to DCI because we know that roof is good. And they've been great to work with and they said, yeah, that would work. So, so basically what we would do is we would propose to be, this proposal is for a 265 kilowatt DC. That would be in addition to the current 49.6 kilowatt DC project up there. We might want to, now that it's approved, look at the interval data from People's Energy and try to fine tune that size a little bit. We don't want to go too big where you're putting a ton of energy on the grid, because if you're over 40 kW, you're not going to get full retail rate for that power if you put it back to the grid. So that's one thing we'll do, but this is a good estimate on the size for now. So. And just to go over kind of and as far as like the seam stripping and that goes, we did talk with WHB, so we know what that cost is this time around, so we include that in the proposal as well. So we don't have to go over our company, we're the ones that did the original project, we're out of Rochester. So if you scroll down to project summary page. So what we would do if you decide to go forward is we would combine the two projects so that it would actually be like around 300 kilowatts DC combined, and we would stay just under 250 kilowatts AC. The reason for that, there's some stipulations with the utility. If you go over 250 kilowatts, that's some other fees and things like that. So this would be about the max size. This would max out most of the roof at BCI as well. So off of the cost of the project, you're getting a 50% state grants, and then that 30% federal rebate is still active. There have been some changes with that maybe some of you have heard about recently at the federal level. So those tax credits were good till 2032. They have sunsetted those earlier now. So for schools and commercial, the rule is that you have to start the project by July 4th of 2026 and have it completed by the end of 2027, which with this timeline with the grant will not be an issue. I just want to make sure you look at that. So if we go to the next page 6. So if you look at the total project cost, about $600,000, you would get half of that back in the state grant. And that would put the district total at about $400,000 in grants that would be allocated. So if you can find another building that would accommodate solar, you would still have some capacity left in the state money. And then you'd get a 30% federal rebate. So the remaining amount out of pocket would be about $120,000. You're going to be saving $25,000 to $30,000 a year now, rather than $4,000 a year. So 3 to 5 year payback is what would be estimated, and then it's just accumulated savings from there. And then we can skip through to page 9. That gives kind of a 30-year, try to be conservative cash flow estimate for the district. We factor in, some maintenance and insurance costs, replacing the inverters, We're then decommissioning it and removing it at year 30. So we try to factor in all of the positives and also the debts as well. So over 30 years, you'd be expected to save $800,000 plus. That's assuming utility rates keep going up at least 3%. More recently, they've been going up higher than that, but again, try to be conservative with that. As far as the equipment goes, so the equipment that we used on the original project, some of that stuff, there's another federal law now called the Foreign Entities of Concern. So basically what it's doing is it's targeting solar equipment that's derived from China or controlled by Chinese companies. So we're just trying, that goes into effect for any project that starts after the first of the year. So we're just trying to avoid that altogether if we can. So what we would do is it'd be different panels than what you had the first time, which isn't that big of a deal. They're gonna have a 30-year warranty on them. The inverters we would swap out just so it's all the same inverters across the entire project. So, with that, I'll just open it up for questions. That's usually the best way to get the details out there.
Are there any questions? Seems like it's going well.
Yeah, I think we had to replace one inverter right away on the original one. They do have pretty long warranties also.
So the $120,000, we would build that into our capital. And then ultimately, I guess the decision could be made on, do you want to put that annually back into capital to replenish it, and then after that, it's all good in the unassigned general fund. You can do that, or you can just take the $120,000 out of your operating capital, and everything would just stay within the unassigned as essentially electrical savings. So whichever, I don't care either way. Whatever you feel like as a board makes the most sense. But that's where we would pull that from, is from our operating capital at this point in time.
There's nothing that dictates where any savings in the future would.
No, we would be definitely within our rights to basically say 120,000 we pulled, we're gonna go ahead and on an annual basis, we'll move 25,000 back. And then in 5 years, essentially we're done. And then the next 25 years or whatever it is just savings in the electrical side of things. Again, if I had to choose one or the other, that would be my recommendation, but.
I think that I would be comfortable taking whatever you recommend.
No, I would go with that route too.
Yeah.
That's not something we need to decide.
No, we're just voting to approve, right?
Yes, so the process, we have the initial approval, and then now if we decide to move forward, we've got to go fill out a full grant application and go through all the things, and then we got to go through the bid process and all that, because it's beyond the dollar threshold for that type of situation. And then basically once that's all done and we've got a vendor, then we'll start to go ahead and begin the process and get the timeline together on when it's going to take place.
So as far as the operating capital, you approve that at the end of the year, we give that to you and ask for your approval on our capital expenditures. And that's when you would decide whether or not you want to just take it out all at once and then not replenish it, or do a payback motion to make sure that 120 goes back into capital.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, I would seek a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Kiefer and a second by Mr. Ravenhorst. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you for finding the grants, writing the grants.
Thanks for letting me know that.
Thank you for coming. Next would be 8B, the cybersecurity grant presentation by Mr. Conger and Mr. Shorter.
So Joe Conger is our information systems coordinator, director. does an amazing job with 3 team members that he has himself, Sam Gebrock and Jacob Thompson. They manage the entire system of our internet infrastructure and all of our devices. They're a rock star team. They do an amazing job. He and Mr. Schroeder worked together on a cybersecurity grant, and I'm excited to have him share the information about the grant and what we're going to do with it.
Well, thank you, Glenda. So this summer MDE had a cybersecurity grant that any school was eligible for. 1.4 million was set aside in funding. And the school districts were broken into 5 groups. The groups were broken down by enrollment. And we were in group 3, and the funding cap for our group was set at $60,000. The application window ran from July 9th to August 29th. And what you had to do to apply for it was pretty much just submit invoices that had to do with cybersecurity. So we submitted all kinds of invoices that we have that help us with cybersecurity. And then in September, we found out that we were awarded the $60,000. So good things. Our biggest cybersecurity expense is Article. We partnered with 3 years ago. And what they do, just as a recap kind of, is they're just a cybersecurity company headquartered up in Eden Prairie, so pretty local, which is nice. That helps organizations protect their systems from hackers and cybersecurity threats. They provide a team of experts who monitor our network 24/7. They detect any suspicious activity and help us respond to those incidents. Their services include the threat detection, risk management, and then security awareness, which we just added on, I believe, last year. And I'll talk a little bit more about security awareness here soon. So yeah, they help us kind of in the background, 24/7, watching our network all the time. Anytime anything is detected or alerted, we get an email about it, and then we're able to go out and fix those threats. If it is a threat, they have recommendations on how to do things, and then we just, our team goes out and fixes those or gets alerted to those. As I mentioned, the managed security awareness training, we just added that on last year for all of our staff members. And so weekly, what they'll do is they get an email that's either a short quiz or a video just dealing with cybersecurity, and then sometimes they'll get a phishing email. If they click on that phishing link, they'll be notified with a pop-up window that they failed the phishing, and then they have some remediation things to go through to kind of pass that then. Everything is kept tracked. There is a scoreboard that gets kept that quarterly I'll send that out to the staff so that they can have a little competition amongst themselves on who's doing the best. But yeah, it's a real short, we're gonna have a video here that we'll show you. The videos are real quick, about 3 minutes. And what the goal is to make everyone kind of that stronger first line of defense, not only here in the school district, but also your personal life. You can take this, and a lot of this information you can give to your family members so that they're aware of some of this stuff that's going on, in the real world, so they're not going to get caught by cybersecurity. So we'll let you watch one of these real quick.
Make sure my volume is.
Belinda wouldn't have got credit for that because she didn't click finish.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's kind of what they're about. Most of them are pointed more towards, education kind of deals, but a lot of them are things that you can use every day. So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
I think one story that Joe told me was about the phishing email, how many staff actually opened the phishing email. You want to tell them about that?
At that last one,
Yeah, we have
So-
250 staff members that get these emails, but the phishing one,
it was the very first phishing email that was sent this year was regarding ChatGPT, which was great because we had just gone through a ChatGPT class at our workshops. And what was awesome was I think out of the 250, I believe it was only like 3%, which is very minimal, actually clicked on that link. And it was a legit looking email, ChatGPT, it'd be something that you would think would have got sent to us because we had just done something like that. To sort of see and the amount of emails that my team receives from staff members when they get phishing emails, even if email may not be a phishing email, but they report it to us right away and they ask us to look into it. And I usually respond back. I don't tell them it's a phishing email, but I'll respond back and just say, hey, if this is something that you're not expecting, delete it. If it's important, they'll get back to you somehow, some way. So just like he kind of says, kind of be, safe and sorry. So yeah,
The
our
other
staff
thing-
does a phenomenal job.
yeah,
Sorry.
they do. The other thing that we are learning is K-12 schools are becoming the biggest target for cyber attacks. And so protecting our data, which is not just about students, it's about staff. When you think about the amount of data we have on staff with accounts that we deposit paychecks into, accounts that we transfer money to for 403Bs, all of that is at risk. And so as a staff collectively, if we're not making sure that we're monitoring all of these attacks, it's really important that we stay on top of it. And I want to credit Joe and Dan for their commitment to make sure that we are on the front of all of this. I'm just so grateful that Joe has taken this on as another thing on his plate to ensure the safety and security of our data in our school district. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Any questions?
Thank you.
I did ask them a question because I thought maybe it'd be asked, but I asked them, will this be available next year? And they said that if funding is available, they do plan on opening up something sort of like this again. They don't know how much money they'll be able to, give away, but if they do open it up, we will definitely go and apply for that again.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for your time. Sweating with us for a little bit.
Go outside and cool off. Walk around the block. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
Joe.
you.
Joe.
Okay, we'll move on to item C, which is consider and approve the contract and working agreements with all of the following groups that are listed.
So you have an attachment that is in front of you, and I'll project it onto the screen. What you'll see is on that data chart, we, on the top line for Sue, which is the teachers negotiations group, we have a tentative agreement as of tonight. We just don't have the data finalized, so it's not on the table. But you do see all of the other groups. So SESP are paras, they're a unionized group. SAAP are admin assistants who are unionized, and then Local 70, which is our custodial and maintenance. Tiger Time district staff, directors, coordinators, and managers are either under working agreements or contracts depending upon their position. Our goal and our guardrails that were set forth by the negotiations team from the board was anything under 7. We could not go to 7% or more. And so when you look at the way right column, you can see the total package percentages are all under 7. They're in that 6.8 to 6.9 percentage range. The teachers are as well as a tentative agreement, but I assured them that I would not share the data before they could share it with their membership. What we will do when we have the teacher settlement is we will fill in that top row. We'll fill in the total, which is third from the bottom. You can see our anticipated revenue. We will have a shortfall for this year and for next. We know that we are going to receive 5.75 from the state. So going up to 6.8, 6.9 is going to give us a shortfall. We'll have to deal with that this April for this year and for next year. All of the groups understand that that is going to be an issue for us. And so when we work through all of these agreements, we were very clear with them about the outcome for that. The Tiger Time Assistance Scale is, the students that work for us, we're giving a 50-cent increase on each year in their hourly rate. When you turn it over to the backside, the language agreements, for every language agreement for all the employee groups, we are removing the school district's maximum contribution to 403Bs. And so we will match that contribution in their current contract or working agreement with no maximum. We've had a $40,000 maximum contribution in the past. And what that did is it penalized the employees who'd been with us the longest and had been contributing to their 403B. And so we just removed that maximum. And as long as they contribute, we will match. As I mentioned, the SUE agreement is pending. For the SESPs, they must work at a minimum 80 days within the school year to be eligible for an annual increase in pay. We brought this forward because there were employees that were hired towards the end of the school year who would be eligible for that pay increase, but had not put in the work hours that those who'd been here the whole year had put in. So they agreed to that. We did revise their longevity scale so that they get their maximum payment after 16 years of service. And then the payment of the mentor stipend will be based on completion of specific guidelines and expectations that they're going to work on together with the principals to set those expectations up and then determine how they're going to ensure that those are met in order for the mentor stipend to be paid. All of those things were factored into their percentage increase. So they actually took a less of an hourly increase to get this benefit, these benefits rolled into their percentage that was about that 6.8, 6.9. For the admin assistants, they have the same language. They work a few longer days in the school year. And so they have to work a minimum of 95 days to be eligible for a pay increase. And they also wanted to have a set rate for PTO for those work 210 and those that work 235. It was a graduated scale, and they just wanted to have the same number of PTO days no matter how many years you worked in the district. Again, these two benefits were rolled into their package, so they took a little bit less than an hourly increase to get these two benefits. Local 70, if they have to come in on the weekend and they are not scheduled to be here on a Saturday or Sunday, sometimes they come and it takes them 20 minutes to travel in, they work 15 and then they have 20 minutes to go home. It's still a disruption to their weekend. So we agreed that they would be paid their overtime rate on those 2 days for a minimum of 2 hours, even if they're only here for an hour, just to give them acknowledgement that they're taking time out of their day off to be here. And again, that benefit has been rolled into the percentage increase. So overall, what you're doing tonight is approving the increases for the groups that you see on the grid. We will bring the teachers to you either on November 10th or November 24th, depending upon when they get a chance to notify their membership of what their tentative agreement looks like, and they can take a vote for ratification. Once that happens, we'll bring theirs to you as well. On that evening that we bring the SUE data to you, I'll have this table completely filled in so that you know what the totals are and our anticipated budget for shortfall would be for when we consider the agreement with the teachers. Are there any questions? Okay, I do want to acknowledge the contributions from Mr. Geist, Mr. Ravenhorst, Mrs. Raymaker, and Mr. Welch in this process. They were members of the negotiations team. It does require quite a bit of time and effort outside of board meetings to stay informed, to come to the meetings, discuss our strategies, those kinds of things. So thank you to them for their time to get this process completed. Thank you.
I just want to thank Melinda Selfers and Dan Schroeder for the work they've done on this and all of the extra work you guys did in doing. I also would like to thank the negotiating groups for making this a great, easy, smooth process this year, and everybody came in ready to work with each other. It was a really great process this year.
I was gonna echo what Troy said. A big thank you to all the groups. They clearly understood what we're up against and everything, and you know, obviously, like, nobody's gonna get exactly what they want, and that's how it works every time we do this. But I just want to say a big thank you that it seemed like everybody came to the table with a full knowledge of what we're doing and what the challenges that we have. So big thank you to them.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or discussion? Okay, this would be a motion, so I would seek a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Geist and a second by Mr. Ravenhorst. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Next would be the superintendent update by Ms. Selfers.
So we have an enrollment update for you. For the grade levels that we have closed open enrollment, we are close to maximum. One grade level is closed, but we're monitoring that day to day so that we don't go over the number that the board had predetermined. We are at 1543 resident students, 411 open enrollment, 18 students are placed in placements. We have a net enrollment of 1936. I do want to talk about federal funding. As you're well aware, with the government shutdown, federal funding is at risk for our school district and many other public entities. We're not the only one. The amount of funding that we receive from the federal government every year is 1.2 or 1.82 million. It's about 6% of our budget. 1.4 million and change supports academic services and programs like mental health, career and tech ed, science, math, and tech ed, special ed, and access to broadband connectivity. So in the middle of the school year, we are contracted with our teachers. We can't let them go if funding runs out. And so if this were to occur, we would just incur the deficit spending that would end up as a result of that. These programs then would have to be considered for continuation and reducing staff or elimination of the programs. We also have about just over $400,000 that funds free meals. In 2023-24, just to give you an idea, we did over 70,000 free breakfasts and 215,000 free lunches. And so if the funding discontinues for free breakfast and free lunch, we'd have to determine what our next steps would be. Obviously, the state would have some guidelines for us to follow, but it would be significant for our families to have that be something that is paid. And then without federal funding, just for these services and programs, that 1.8 million funds 19 teaching positions that would either have to be discontinued and or we'd need an increase in state and local aid that would be necessary to keep these things going. So there is an impact. It can be devastating for us if this doesn't get resolved and these dollars go away. So we are concerned and we are monitoring it. Are there any questions?
I have one quick one. The free breakfast and lunches, what year was it, 2021, where families, it's because it's been free for years. So when you say it would be detrimental or hard for our families to come back after getting used to not paying for so many years, has it been free for 3 years now?
I think 3 or 4.
That's what I thought. Okay. I was just trying to remember. All right.
It would impact family budgets for sure.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you're not thinking about it now.
Right.
Yep.
And you haven't been for the last 3 years, so that's where I was curious about. Thank you.
I do want to give you a legislative update. So we are on an off budget year. Typically in the second year of a biennium, there's a lot of policy discussions that are held. For school districts, the minute that they create new policy, it ends up in mandates that are not funded. And so we're really trying to stay on top of that and continue the mantra, if you're going to pass a mandate, pass the funding to go with it. If the mandate is not going to be funded, don't do it. Make it optional for school districts. There are several commissions that have been put together. The Blue Ribbon Commission on Special Ed is supposed to find $250 million in savings in special education. If they cannot do that, that will become a cross subsidy. And what that means is the district will get less special ed aid and have to take it out of our general fund, which is going to impact our programming that we have for all students. The Compensatory Revenue Task Force also has to find a way to identify the families that are eligible for free and reduced meal eligibility, with free and reduced meals no longer being a thing because all meals are free, families aren't filling out the paperwork, and so it's really hard to determine what your eligibility numbers are. I still contend that they collect tax records on every employee in the state. They know what the family income and the family size is of every family in the state. There is a way to determine this by school district. And so it's just a matter of the right hand talking to the left hand to share the data. But this task force is apparently supposed to figure out what's the best way to get this done. The seclusion working group is working on seclusion as an emergency procedure and wondering whether or not we should continue to have this as an option in our school districts. Suspension is no longer available for kindergarten through third grade, but seclusion is something that you might need to do for a student who is extremely dysregulated so that you can get them calmed down and get them reintroduced into the academic setting. The last one is a developmental delay working group. They're working on the current age limit in special ed law that restricts the eligibility for developmental delay to kids under the age of 7, and then extending the impact of the eligibility to children under the age of 9. They have to report their findings also by February 1st. So 3 groups that could have an impact on funding in one way or another. The budget outlook, this was just released last week. The economic update from the Minnesota Management and Budget Office showed that the general fund revenues are totaling $2.14 billion, which is $86 million above what they forecast. Individual income and sales tax were also above forecast at $22 million. It's 0.5%. So total is 4.7% above the forecast. That's not a lot of cushion for an overage. That can go away within a month. They're going to release another update in October, and the most complete picture of the state funding and finances will be available in November, when that will be released again in December for us. So we're continuing to monitor the status. Funding is tight. The state is not experiencing a lot of increases in revenue. They're really kind of maintaining where they are, which is not going to bode well for us if we're going to look for increases in funding. Any questions? Okay. The next thing I have is the Minnesota School Board Association Conference on January 15th and 16th. You have a form there available to you. We do need to know tonight what your plans are. If you want to have a reservation for Wednesday and Thursday evening or just Thursday. The housing blocks have opened, and so we'd like to get that reserved tomorrow. Reminder that cancellations on rooms are now charging $50 if you cancel, so your commitment needs to be solid so that we can avoid that. And then we also want you to complete the school board member visits to schools form. If you didn't have one, I have one laying in front of you. You can get that to me tonight, and I'll inform the principals of your plan. And that's all I have for the update.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 10, board committee updates, facilities.
I do have an update for you. ISG has sent out a survey to all staff asking them for their input on the condition of their working environments. And so it's separated by role in the district and building that you work in. And it's very wide open, so you can contribute any information or input that you have about the conditions in your building. And they'll compile that all for the board and present it to you so that you're aware of what the staff are feeling and thinking. Okay.
Me and confer.
Now that we have negotiations completed, we'll put together a team and start to set some meeting dates for working on the calendar for 26, 27. I'd like to bring that to you by the end of November. It's the goal.
It's a good goal, because our families would appreciate it too.
Yeah.
Negotiations.
We give a woot woot.
Yeah, we finished. We did. Policy,
Nothing right now.
and has anyone gone for a school member visit yet? No? Coming up. Okay. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I would seek a motion. I have a motion by Mr. Ravenhorst and a second by Mr. Geis. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 7:40 p.m.
Well, thank you.